welcomes you to the following presentation of the National Football League.
The weather's going to be great. 50 degrees and raining, and down in the rain is Erin Andrews.
Well, Matthew Stafford told me during pregame, the good news, my glove, it can handle this weather and it's not coming off. The bad news, he's sick of talking about his middle finger. His wide receiver, Golden Tate, told me, look, it is what it is. Our quarterback is hurt right now. It's on us as wide receivers. If he overthrows a ball, we've got to fight for it. If he underthrows it, we've got to step up and try to catch it as well. Guys, in talking to the Giants defense today and Detroit's wide receivers, they thought Stafford looked pretty darn good here during pregame warmups. We'll see how he and that finger holds up.
Yeah, I would agree, Aaron. Troy and I were down there on the field as you were talking to him before the game. I don't feel like he's overly concerned with it. Ball was zipping around pretty good in the pregame warm-up. Glad you're with us. Giants won the toss. They will start with the ball at their 25. Here comes number 10, making his 197th consecutive start. It's his 199th career game. He's 3 completions shy of 4,000 in his career. He'd be the 7th to get there all time, but you saw those numbers. It's been a struggle the last 3 weeks for Eli Manning.
Well, it has been a struggle, and regardless of what the numbers may suggest, I just think that when you watch Eli play the last few weeks, it's really been more about decision making. Some throws have been errant, but last week had an interception in that game against Dallas. Easily could have had 3 more.
They start the day with Jennings left side, and a good start. And Troy, are they happy to get Justin Pugh back? He has missed the last 5 games. Injured his knee in a game against Philadelphia early November. He's back, and he should make a big difference.
Well, he did right there on first down. They run right behind him, and yes, they are happy to have him back. That left guard position has been a revolving door the last 5 weeks without Justin Pugh.
Maybe the Giants will try to establish the run here early. And I think the answer would be yes. 2 plays, 2 carries, Jennings. 6 yards, a first down, and an injury here early for Detroit. As you see where Jennings went, as Haloti Ngata can't get up. The 5-time Pro Bowler, 6'4", 345, and such a big force in the middle for Detroit. Take a look at number 92.
Collides with his own guy, and you're right, Haloti Ngata is a heck of a player. Ziggy Ansah that he runs into, but a good start here for this Giants offense. 2 runs, pick up a first down. Haven't seen much of that this year.
Yeah, you want to make Eli Manning look better and be more effective, be able to run the ball. Opens up so much for Manning. Quick setup and throw, and the pass is caught, I believe, and it looked like a little bobble by Odell Beckham. But they've had 3 positive plays. This one good for 4 to number 13. It looked like it hit the ground from up here, but let's take a look. They're giving him a completion. And how in the world can this officiating crew miss that?
And there's no red flag coming out either by Jim Caldwell.
I don't know that it's worth a challenge. Just a 4-yard gain, but man. Here's Jennings to the 45, ball out. They're ruling him down at the 45, 3rd and 2 coming up.
That's a little bit embarrassing, isn't it, that you get a completion off of that?
These guys didn't officiate last night, right? They were not here at the Jets-Dolphins game. The Giants defense is 10th in points per game, or the Lions rather, and for the Lions, it's been an opposing quarterback completion percentage that's been almost 73%. 3rd down and 2. Pass caught, Will Tye, first down, just shy of midfield. Tahir Whitehead on the tackle, and a good start offensively for New York.
Yeah, real good start. Last week they were just 2 of 14 converting on 3rd down. It's been a down and distance for them this year that has been challenging, just keeping drives alive. So they've done some good things running the football. They face their first third down, and they convert to Will Tye.
Lodi Nada back in the lineup for Detroit. That's good for the Lions. Little stutter step, and this time Detroit's defense steps up. No gain by Rashad Jennings, and Whitehead is in there to make the tackle.
Yeah, Whitehead, he's able to get up the field. They come off the slot as well, so not much of a chance there for this Giants offense on that particular running play. But this Lions defense, they've given up yards, and where they've been good is they don't give up a lot of big plays. They make you earn the yards you get, and then they don't let you into the end zone often.
2nd and 10, Manning sideline, good throw, pass is caught by Victor Cruz in what may be his final home game as a Giant. First down and a gain of 29.
As soon as you say the Lions don't give up big plays, Victor Cruz shows up finally. Only 4 receptions since October for Victor Cruz.
Hand off to Perkins, going to bounce it right side. Flag is thrown. And now another. There are 3 flags on the field. A gain of 7. But these guys will have to try and sort it out. Tony Correnti is
there are fouls against both teams that cause a play to be offset. Holding, offense number 45. Personal foul, grabbing the face mask, defense number 32. By rule, these penalties will offset. Replay, first down.
Why did the Giants hurry to the line? Well, there was a little bobble along the sideline. Looked like a good catch. 1, 2, and then he secured it going to the ground. But just to be sure, the Giants got up to the line, snapped it. I think that's a good catch.
Yeah, I do too, and I think it's also smart, however, on Eli Manning's part, getting them up to the line and not taking any chances for a review.
Here's Perkins. Pretty strong tackle made in there. Interior defensive line player Kyrie Thornton is a guy that got that big 6'3", 315-pound body on Perkins and wouldn't let it go. Inside the red zone are the Giants. Here's Perkins, first down and more inside the 10 to the 6. Whitehead on the stop, but this is a terrific opening drive.
Well, you're going to see Justin Pugh, the job that he does. He's able to come up and he's get just enough of Tahir Whitehead to open up a running lane. These running backs have got to be excited. It has been an offense, as we know, that has struggled to run the football, but these running backs have not seen a lot of room like they've gotten here on this first possession. Offensive line off to a good start.
You see opening drive troubles for the Giants this year. Just got it away. Shepard, corner the end zone, touchdown. Now that was a good start.
It was a great finish to a really good opening drive. The Lions go press on the outside, and that opens up all this room then for Sterling Shepard to work the corner of the end zone. Once Eli Manning sees press on the outside, the receiver comes underneath, and you've got that much field then to operate. It's a matter of your receiver beating the defensive back, and he does a great job, and a well-thrown ball and a good start for Eli Manning in this offense.
There's Asa Jackson there defending. Bad snap, great hold by Brad Wing, and it's a 7-0 lead. And the Giants find the rookie Sterling Shepard. Terrific start for number 10.
Sponsored by Southwest. Yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency.
Eli Manning went 4 for 4 on the drive. He's now over 4,000 completions in his career, 7th to get there in NFL history. Sterling Shepard now 5 touchdowns over his last 7 games. And for the Giants, who had been shut out in the first quarter, forget the first drive, 9 times in 13 games. And over the last 3 games, going scoreless in the opening quarter, they get an opening drive touchdown. On the return, Andre Roberts, he's dangerous. Not this time, short of the 20. And they're going to give him progress out to the 20. Owa Odigizua on the stop. 21-yard return by Andre Roberts. Well, you didn't like throwing with a glove, right? I know you didn't like throwing with a wet ball. I know you've played your Hall of Fame career with a broken finger, and he's playing with a dislocation now in the middle finger.
And it's interesting what he was able to come up with the glove. And the glove that he is wearing, it's one that is designed really to be able to handle the wet conditions. So he was anticipating rain. It was in the forecast, and that's what he's wearing.
Handoff is to Washington, and the rookie Dwayne Washington, who was taking over the top spot at running back, is good for a 12-yard gain. Theo Riddick is out again with a wrist injury, and this is a Lions offense that's 17th in points per game. But coming in, these are 2 teams that have really struggled to run the football.
Yeah, they're a lot alike in that regard, that they have not had much consistency running the football. This Lions offense has been pretty banged up for much of the year. Certainly are again today, as you said, with Theo Riddick out of the lineup. They've been pretty banged up at the running back position.
Washington again, a little stutter step, and he gets it to the 35. That's it. A gain of 3. Well, everybody now is talking about the Giants defense around the NFL, and over the last 7 games, you can see why they've been on this terrific run as they've come into this game winning 7 of their past 8.
Well, that performance last Sunday night against a good offensive team and arguably the best offensive line in football, the Dallas Cowboys, that was as good a defensive performance as I've seen in a long time. I thought everyone who was on the field played great.
Here's the throw, first of the day, and it's Bolden. He goes nowhere. And it's Eli Apple, the rookie, out there to make the play, and Eli Apple is getting better and better and better, the 10th overall pick in this past draft.
Well, we had a chance to talk to Steve Spagnuolo, and he said, hey, one of the things the Lions really like to do is they like to get the ball out of Stafford's hands. The ball's thrown around the line of scrimmage, and the defensive backs, you have to be aggressive once the ball is caught or once you recognize what's happening in front of you. Eli Apple, it really has had a nice rookie season. We've seen him improve as the year has gone along, which is what you would expect, and he's lived up to the billing as a guy who was drafted in the first round.
Play clock at 1, 3rd and 7. And this is going to be delay a game. And Stafford gets hit by Olivier Vernon. No flag for that. It got loud in here, and the defense couldn't hear the whistles. But the play clock expired before the snap.
Delay game. Offense. 5-yard penalty. Remains 3rd down.
So it's still delivers a hit. Part of Olivier Vernon into the back of Matthew Stafford.
I thought Olivier Vernon was trying to pull up, and it's hard when the crowd's as loud as they are right now and trying to decipher those whistles.
Stafford out to his right. Nothing there. Pressured by Cody Sensabaugh, and there was nothing downfield for Matthew Stafford.
Well, this Giants defense, when the year began, they struggled on 3rd down getting off the field, but they have gotten better and better and better. And last week, they held the Cowboys to just 1 of 15 on 3rd down, and they're able to get off the field here on the first 3rd down against the Detroit Lions. Just great coverage around the horn.
Here's Sam Martin, who hits one sideways. He's had a great year, and this will be a huge punt. It wasn't pretty, but man, it was effective. 63-yard punt by Sam Martin. That ties his season long. 7-0 Giants.
Sponsored by Bud Light. Make the right call. Drink responsibly.
Rain and wind getting worse as we go. And that's in the forecast. It's supposed to rain until later on this afternoon, then that should kind of clear out of here. But windy as we go, and a handoff is to Perkins. Some nice running lanes for these Giants running backs already. This is a Lions defense that's held their last 6 opponents under 100 yards rushing, averaging under 73 rush yards a game allowed, but so far so good for the Giants.
Boy, a really great start for the Giants, and we saw it on that first possession, and when they are able to find some balance, as you talked about, that means a lot for Eli Manning to not have to do it all himself.
Perkins, not this time. Good play made by Raphael Bush. One of the good group of safeties for defensive coordinator Terrell Austin. The Lions have been able to keep over the last couple of years, while some other organizations have been calling about head coaching opportunities. 3rd and 5. Shane Vereen, who was activated last week off IR, and then 3 plays into the game suffered a concussion, is in the lineup next to Manning. On 3rd down, Manning fires, pass caught, Vereen short of the 1st down. Whitehead with a strong tackle, and it's 4th down for the Giants.
Good job by the Lions. They're able to come up and then make a play on Vereen. Vereen was not able to get the depth to pick up the 1st down, so they come up short. It looked initially like Eli might go out to Will Tye. Didn't like the look, and you see that Devin Taylor, he's able to get some pressure. So the Lions are able to rebound after that first possession and force a punt themselves.
Brad Wing, NFC Special Teams Player of the Week, hits a knuckler. On the return, flag is down. Roberts is down as well. Wayne Harris was in to make the stop, and now a 2nd flag comes in. So Tony Corrente will have to sort through it. The initial call looked like it was against the Lions, but then a flag late.
During the kick, holding receiving team number 29. 10-yard penalty and a 1st down.
It's Batamosi. He was holding Dwayne Harris. Harris got up and made the stop. Lions have it, trailing by 7.
Sponsored by the new Bacon King sandwich, only at Burger King.
And as we welcome you back into MetLife Stadium, 2nd possession for Matthew Stafford and the Lions, down by 7 against this defense that made Dak Prescott look like a 4th-round pick last Sunday night. Handoff is to Washington, nothing over the right side. And as we bring you back inside our broadcast booth, talk us through what it would mean to have a dislocation at the tip of your middle finger.
Well, I think the one that would hurt you the most is your index finger, but I do think it's significant it being his middle finger, because as the ball's thrown, Joe, the last finger that's on the football, is your middle finger, and it's the tip of that finger on him that is injured, that he had the dislocation and the ligament damage, and so it's a factor as he throws it, plus with all fingers essentially on the ball, except that there's a different feel than he's used to as well. Now he has had all week to work on it. We'll see how it impacts him today.
Here's play action, and there's Ebron, the big tight end, into Giants territory, and that ball had some zip on it from Matthew Stafford. That one good for 21.
It sure did. Good protection in the pocket. He's got Ebron who's coming across, as you see that come off his hand, and I think he feels pretty confident about it. If there's going to be times the ball's going to get away from him, whether or not that's because of the glove, the injury, or because of the weather being a factor. But a perfectly thrown ball to his tight end there.
Question is, how do you spin it with the inclement weather and the bad middle finger? That one good for 21. Here's a toss. Washington running to his right, spins. He gets maybe a half yard. Marissa Thompson standing by with a game break.
Thanks, Joe. To Chicago we go. Packers on the Lions' heels in the NFC North, so not what Detroit fans want to see. Opening drive of the game here, converted wide receiver Ty Montgomery with the 4-yard run. Packers up 7-0. Joe, Troy, and Aaron.
Steve Horn, our editorial consultant, made the point before the game that the Lions are as concerned about the right calf of Aaron Rodgers as the Packers are. Oklahoma! Because those Green Bay Packers are hot and breathing down the neck of the Detroit Lions. Even though they're 2 back, they have a Week 17 matchup coming up. Handoff is to Washington. Great play by Harrison. And Damon Harrison, such a big addition to this defense, brings him down, no gain.
Well, you can see him. He just splits the double team right there. I mean, they're trying to get 4 hands on Damon Harrison, and he comes right through the middle and makes a play. And there's a lot of good things that have happened for this defense. A lot of good players. Janoris Jenkins being one of those guys, and a lot of good performances. Damon Harrison has been one of the real superstars for a big guy and what he's meant to this run defense. He's one of my favorite players in the league right now, Joe.
You saw that stat. The Lions are the best in the NFL at 3rd and 7 or more. It's 3rd and 9. Down the sideline, pass is caught. Flag is down. They're going to say the pass was caught out of bounds, but a flag is thrown, and we'll see if it's against the Giants defense. Golden Tate may have been held, grabbed, or otherwise interfered with, and that's what drew the flag.
Yeah, a lot of contact, and Golden Tate, he's got to give his quarterback a little bit of room.
Number 24, 5-yard penalty and an automatic first down.
That was awfully close to a catch. In the end, it's a 5-yard penalty, but the big part of it is the calls against Eli Apple, the automatic first down.
Yeah, they get the first down. They miss out on a little bigger opportunity, but Golden Tate just kind of loses track of where he is along that sideline. Another well-thrown ball down the field, which is where some of the inaccuracies would show up if Stafford was experiencing any issues. And so he's off to a good start, making some nice throws.
To Washington. Dwayne Washington is good for 2. Devon Kennard is there for the stop. The NFC East is not over. It does not belong yet to the Dallas Cowboys. They play tonight at home against Tampa Bay, a red-hot Tampa Bay Buccaneers team that's playing with great defense, leading the league in takeaways. But right now, it's Dallas on top in the NFC overall at 11-2. But the Giants have beaten them twice, so they have the head-to-head. 2nd and 8, quick throw. That was almost knocked down. It's Golden Tate. And Tate to the 35. 3rd down coming up.
I thought last Sunday night, Steve Spagnuolo, the defensive coordinator, really called one heck of a game. And they give a lot of different looks. You're going to see Landon Collins. He starts like it's going to be a 3-deep look with a safety in the middle. But as the ball is snapped, Landon Collins then works the opposite way, and they rotate coverage, and they do a lot of different things like that, and I believe it's because of Landon Collins and where he is now in his 2nd season. He's had one heck of a year. I think he's had not only a Pro Bowl season, I think he's had an All-Pro year.
Lions are inside field goal range at the moment. To the sideline, pass is caught. And the catch is good. It's Ebron along the sideline for a first down.
Well, Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie, number 41. Initially, it's a lot of contact there on Marvin Jones, but good job by Matthew Stafford getting out and getting the ball to Ebron.
That's the end of the first quarter. Giants leading by 7. Back after this from your local Fox station. We had the catch by Ebron at the end of the quarter. The Giants got the benefit of the end of the quarter, so they had a good long look at it. They don't challenge the call. Looked like Ebron's knee was down with possession of the ball. And so a big first down and a conversion on 3rd down by the Lions as they trail by 7. And just as I say that, Ben McAdoo, very dramatic, throws the flag with everybody set up, ready to go. So McAdoo will challenge it. There was a book written once called One Knee Equals 2 Feet. The right knee is down.
Ruling on the field of a completed pass.
We think the call will stand But Ben McAdoo wants another look. Maybe worth another look. We'll get the call when we come back.
Game on Fox is sponsored by Citizen Echo Drive watches, powered by Light.
Here comes the call.
After reviewing the play, the ruling of a catch has been confirmed. It will be Detroit's ball, first down. New York will be charged with their first timeout.
The NFL's initiative to expedite and improve pace of play just took a hit there. That will not make folks happy in the league office. Waiting the entire break during the change at the end of the first quarter, waiting for the teams to get set, then throwing the flag, and the call stands anyway. Now 1 for 3 as a head coach is Ben McAdoo in challenges. Only Bill Belichick has challenged fewer times, once. Dwayne Washington, left side, gains 1, and Kelvin Shepard, the middle linebacker, there to make the stop.
Kelvin Shepard, another one of those guys coming off a heck of a performance on Sunday night. They were all over the place. He and Jonathan Casillas, and just really a great team effort defensively, and being able to win that game on Sunday night without much help from their offense, and he makes another nice play here.
Second and 9. Stafford protected, got a man. End zone broken up, what a play. Eli Apple got his hand in there before Golden Tate could make the catch, and that just saved a touchdown.
Yeah, Golden Tate had to wait on it just enough. A double move, you're going to see he gets Eli Apple to bite, and then he's beat. And if the ball just gets out there a little bit more, but Eli Apple, he has some makeup speed. He gets back on it, gets his hand just on the ball enough, and he was so open that Stafford's just thinking, if I just get it to him, it's a touchdown. You can tell that he missed a great opportunity for a touchdown. Good call, well-run route. A nice play by the rookie.
Third down and 9. Pass is gunned in and dropped by Ebron. Good fastball by Stafford, and now a player is down, and it's Janoris Jenkins, who was the headline grabber for his effort against Des Bryant last Sunday night.
There's a collision at the end of this play. It was right there, right at the end, but Janoris Jenkins, the year that he's had, he's going to get some attention over there. Check on his status.
Meanwhile, it's a drop for Ebron, and fourth down for the Lions when we come back. Janoris Jenkins, who has been fantastic for the Giants in his first year, just now got up and got to the sideline after that on the third down play. Ebron couldn't make the catch, so it's a 48-yard try now by Matt Prater, who's made 17 straight. Snaps it, and Prater's having a heck of a year. It's a 3-point trip down the field. Could have been 7 if not for this from Eli Apple. What a play. 7-3 game. Giants on top.
Sponsored by the $10 any pizza carryout deal, only at Pizza Hut.
How about a quarterback comparison for these two? Matthew Stafford, Eli Manning. And the numbers could be better for Matthew Stafford if not for that play by Eli Apple. And Manning has been helped out by the running game, and he's looked sharp.
I think actually both these quarterbacks are off to a good start. Like you said, a couple of opportunities missed. And I think Matthew Stafford, though, is throwing the ball well.
I mean, it is seemingly freezing all around the United States except for New Jersey. December 28th, Pac-12 Big Ten Showdown, the 2016 Foster Farms Bowl. Joe Williams and the 19th ranked Utah Ball Club takes on Nick Westbrook in Indiana. December 28th, only on Fox. My Hoosiers had a couple of brushes with greatness.
It's that time of year for all the bowl games.
That's right.
All the bowl games.
All the bowl games.
What are they up to now?
A lot.
They keep adding them.
A lot.
Easy. Hey, we have pit.
From the 25. Up by 4. Jennings, not much, and then he got popped by Whitehead. Here's Carissa with a game break.
Thanks, Joe. Vikings second place in the NFC North hosting the Colts. Robert Turbin, 1-yard run here, has Indy up 10-0 so far. Adrian Peterson's return, quiet, 3 carries, 4 yards. Joe, Troy, and Aaron.
Yeah, that's an interesting game and one that you probably couldn't figure coming in. Indy with a big loss last weekend. On the outside of the playoff picture looking in. 2nd and 7. Jennings gets it again, cuts back a bit, and will bring up 3rd down and about 2.
That's too much.
As he picks up 5.
Yeah, sorry, Joe. One of the things that's been impressive with Ben McAdoo and the way he's called the game here in this first quarter is even there on 2nd and long, they still come back and hand the ball off. And I know last week did not run the ball well, but they did have a season-high 33 rushing attempts. I know that he comes from the school of Mike McCarthy, and they are all about rush attempts. Yeah, they'd like to run it better, but he has stuck with it and been patient. I think that's helped. Nice gain on 2nd down.
118.
Toss to Jennings running right. Well played by the Lions. Crowd doesn't like the call, and as they try to run it 3 times with Jennings, Whitehead was the first one in there. A loss of 3 and a quick 3 and out for Ben McAdoo's offense.
Yeah, well, they never get to Tyre Whitehead. You're going to see that he's got a free run, and he then shoots the gap, and he's there, and Rashad Jennings just has no opportunity. And this is some of the things when you watch the Giants throughout this season, you know, you look at it and you say, well, Rashad Jennings isn't running the ball particularly well. A lot of times, there's just been nowhere for him to go, and he had no chance on that 3rd down run.
Back-to-back 3 and outs after that impressive first drive by the Giants. Line drive punt. Roberts can run. He's dangerous from inside the 20. And now he'll come to the near side. Casillas can't get him down. Ball's out, but then it's out of bounds. As the play was made by B.J. Goodson. Lions have it. They get it right back as they trail by 4. Aaron, what are you learning down on the sideline?
Well, the Giants are telling us Janoris Jenkins took a knee to his back. He's been trying to catch his breath. They're saying he got the wind knocked out of him. Troy mentioned he's getting a lot of attention over here on the Giants bench. They're working on his ribs, on his back, doing a little back bend there, just trying to get back out there on the field, Joe.
It's Trevin Wade, his teammate, who need him in the back, so that's a big loss at the moment. Starting at the 22, Stafford rolls out, airs it out, has Tate behind the defense, and Golden Tate down near the 10. Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie saved the touchdown and 67 yards from Matthew Stafford.
Well, they put Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie in. He's been playing a lot of the slot nickel corner, but he comes in because of the injury to Janoris Jenkins. Double move on the outside. Actually, wasn't even a double move. I mean, Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie just bust coverage. He comes off of Golden Tate, and an easy one then, and only because of the speed of DRC is it not a touchdown. I thought initially it was a double move that he bid on, but no, he just ran right by him, and I'm not sure what Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie was thinking.
Season long for Tate. Here's Zenner, his first carry. Falls out into the end zone, recovered by Vernon. And the Giants will take over. It was knocked out by Leon Hall. And the Lions, who had gone 3 games without a fumble, cough it up going in at Zach Zenner. Leon Hall knocked it out. And Olivier Vernon there to recover eventually in the end zone, to the dismay of number 9.
This is sponsored by AT&T.
Well, the Lions miss a golden opportunity to take the lead. A fumble by Zach Zenner. Recovered by Olivier Vernon in the end zone, and now the Giants come out throwing. Pass is caught by Jarrell Adams. And the play is made by DeAndre Levy, and here's the play by Leon Hall.
Well, it's a great job by Leon Hall, who comes up and makes a nice hit. Had a heck of a play last week, too, and that win over the Cowboys. As a guy who has been a corner in this league, he's gotten safety work with the Giants this year. He's come in, he's been able to sub in and be part of a rotation, and he makes a big-time play here in this ball game to force the turnover.
2nd and 6. Manning throws. Beckham makes a move to the 45. 22-yard completion to Odell Beckham Jr. And he's fun after he gets the ball in his hands.
Yeah, that's when it kind of all begins with him. And that's the hard part for a defense. Once he catches the ball, we've seen it. We've seen him catch slant routes and go 60 yards like he did last week. And he's a hard guy to get to the ground. You got to make the tackle as soon as the catch is made. He's dangerous.
Manning has started 7 for 7. Here's Perkins. Up to the 49, a gain of 3. DeAndre Levy, who the Lions are happy to get back in their lineup, 2nd game back. And there's the start for Eli Manning.
Well, hey, we talked about it coming in. The last couple weeks have not been good. I don't care what the numbers show. The decision making and some of the throws that he has made simply have not been good. And I think at this time of the year, for a team that's in playoff contention, regardless of whatever's happening around you, he needs to be more consistent, and he has done that in this game.
Here's Adams with a first down grab. Forced out by Levy at the 41.
I think the protection's been better as well. Last week, there was not much help. A lot of pressure on Eli Manning, no running game, and we've seen a little bit different play with the return of Justin Pugh there at left guard.
Perkins. And the big man in the middle, Kyrie Thornton yet again. Former New England Patriot, a gain of just 1.
You look at this Lions roster really on both sides of the ball, and the job that new general manager Bob Quinn did when he took over. 23 new players on this Lions roster. A lot of new faces. Last year they finished up strong. Not much carryover really as you come into this season because it is basically an entirely new roster, almost 50% of it. But what a great job he's done with some really talented players, especially offensively, replacing Calvin Johnson with a couple of receivers that have helped Matthew Stafford.
Here's Perkins again. And he's knocked down a 1.5 yard shy of first down. Bob Quinn spent the previous 16 years in New England, and for a while was the scouting director, and what he's brought here has been impressive in his first year as GM. Perkins for the first down as the Giants hurry it up, and they're in good position now inside the 30.
Well, just to reiterate, the job that Ben McAdoo is doing as the play caller. He has not abandoned the run. 2nd and long now a couple times in this first half. We've seen him stick with the running game and have some nice gains, and that happened again with Perkins, and then they hand it to him again, and they pick up the first down.
Pass, Beckham, caught, play made by Darius Slay. Was one of the better corners in the NFL. Good tackle, a gain of just 4. That's not easy to do on Beckham.
No, it's a good matchup here, and one that we've anticipated. They're not necessarily going to have Darius Slay on him on every snap, but he does draw the assignment on that play, and as I said earlier, he's able to make the tackle and not allow Odell Beckham to get anything after the catch.
See Beckham come down on his hip. Slay gets up limping to the sideline.
Yeah, he's had a heck of a season also. I mean, we talked about Janoris Jenkins and what he's meant to the Giants defense. Darius Slay, he's meant a lot to this Lions team this year. And in his 4th year, he's really one of the elite corners in the game.
This Lions defense has been banged up all year. Slay was bothered by a hamstring injury before their bye. Here's pressure, and down goes Eli Manning, and what a play by Zettel. He came in like a flash, and that's the first sack for the rookie out of Penn State.
Well, Zettel gets up the field, and they pull Justin Pugh, and he's just not able to get there in time. He has no angle on Zettel because of the way that he was able to penetrate up the field, and Eli Manning just has no chance. They try a little play action, try to take a shot. Zettel makes a big stop.
Third down and 12 now. Pressure dropped off for Vereen. Flag is down. Vereen is rolling. Inside the 5, ball's out. It is still loose. Touchdown Giants, but a flag is down. Victor Cruz ends up with a football, but we'll get the call. The flag is back in the offensive backfield.
Cruz has been wanting to do that all year.
Hands to the face. Offense, number 68. 5-yard penalty. Repeat, third down.
They call it against Bobby Hart, so the touchdown doesn't stand. I tell you what does disappoint the Lions. They had a shot at the football in the end zone on a fumble by Vereen, and they whiffed on it. That would have stood as a turnover right here. And let's see who that is. It looked like Raphael Bush, who just missed it. And it is Bush. If he comes up with that, because the foul was against the Giants, the Lions take over.
Yeah, they create a takeaway of their own and don't give up any points. Maybe they won't on this possession anyway, but Bobby Hart, he gets called with the hands to the face. It was a good call. We showed it. I thought Eli Manning does a heck of a job right there, just avoiding the pass rush. It's a screen play, but he was under some duress, and he gets the ball out. But a lot of things working on that particular play, and now the Giants looking at third and long.
Third down and 22. Pass is caught underneath Will Tye to the 30, and that's it. Forward progress is stopped, and it'll be fourth down. But that completion for 10 yards does get Robbie Gould back into field goal range, where it'll be roughly a 48-yard try.
Yeah, that's all Eli Manning was trying to do, just knowing third and long and what he needed in order to get into Robbie Gould's range. They pick it up, and now they give him an opportunity to at least come away with some points on this drive.
They move the ball just inside the 30, so officially a 47-yard try. Gould is only 3 for 3. It's his 8th game with the Giants. And the longtime Chicago Bear has made it a 7-point game again, as he knocks home the 47-yarder his season long. The Lions have got to be thinking about missed opportunity in this game. First, a great play by Eli Apple. I don't know that you call that a missed opportunity. Maybe a little better throw or deeper throw gets a touchdown to Golden Tate, but then they're going in for the touchdown to take the lead. Center fumbles. Then Shane Vereen fumbles on the other end, and they miss on the recovery. And it's a 7-point Giant lead with 5 minutes to go in the first half. About to start it at their own 25. You think about what happened on March 10th of this year. Jerry Reese, the general manager for the New York Giants, signed all 3 of these players. Damon Harrison, Janoris Jenkins, and Olivier Vernon. Big money, $194 million combined, but 3 guys who have yet to taste playoff football.
Well, they'll get to this year if they keep playing the way that they have. And how many times have we seen big free agent acquisitions around the league and then they don't play to the level that they were expected to? That's not been true here in New York. All 3 of those guys have been impactful players.
Stafford gets away from a sack and now just throws it away. Big pressure by Olivier Vernon. And as of the moment, no flag for grounding. Here are those opportunities. There's the left hand in the play by Eli Apple. Then the fumble by Zenner inside the 5. And then moments ago, Raphael Bush on the fumble by Shane Vereen has it right in his arms and somehow doesn't come away with it. And Stafford's been frustrated as he and the Lions trail by 7. Second and 10. Both Janoris Jenkins and Darius Slay are in the dressing rooms getting looked at because of injuries. Here's Washington, nothing over the right side. No gain, and Kerry Wynn, number 72, there to make the stop. 3rd down and 10 coming up. As the Giants are playing now without their best cover corner, Janoris Jenkins. And the Lions right now, Slay's been bothered by a hamstring before this year, and he's bothered by it again today.
Well, Steve Spagnuolo in these situations, 3rd and long, he likes to bring some pressure. We'll see if he does now. Of course, Janoris Jenkins not in the lineup. How will that affect what he wants to do defensively?
3rd down and 10. Stafford shoots through trouble. Going to try and run for it. Won't get it. Knocked down by Keenan Robinson. And Robinson was iffy this week with a shoulder injury, and it's 3 and out. As Stafford needed 10, got 8.
Well, Spagnuolo, he plays it safe. It's a 4-man rush. They play coverage. There's nowhere for Matthew Stafford to go with the football, and I think Stafford's one of the more underrated runners at the quarterback position. He, certainly had the game winner last week, but you watch him and he's able to keep plays alive, and they rally on 3rd and long and keep him from picking up the 1st down.
Sam Martin hits a beauty. Harris with a dangerous grab, breaking tackles, and he's wrestled down near the 34 with an 11-yard return after a 44-yard punt by Miles Killebrew.
But the game Dwayne Harris had last week, big time.
I'll tell you that the 3rd annual Art Rooney Sportsmanship Award honors NFL players who exemplify outstanding sportsmanship on the field. Earlier this week, a panel of NFL legends selected 8 finalists from the 32 nominees. The winner will be decided by a vote of current NFL players and announced at the NFL Honors Awards. It's a show February 4th, night before the Super Bowl here on Fox. Super Bowl 51 coming up this year and into early next year in Houston. Here's Jennings. And Jennings gets 2, knocked down by Tavon Wilson.
Well, the Giants, when you talk about this running game and some of the struggles, one of the things that impacts them is they don't have a true fullback, and so they've kind of got to use their tight ends in some of those roles. And Jarrell Adams on that play is the lead fullback. It's not an easy job, but he did a good job making a pretty good block.
Manning throws, and he has started red hot. Jarrell Adams with a catch, albeit a short one, a gain of 3. And it's 11 straight completions to start the game.
He's been real efficient. He's gotten the ball out. Like I said, I think the protection has been better. Certainly has helped that they've been able to run the football. But he talked about it during the week. Even he admitted that he needed to be better, and he has really played well here in this first half.
3rd down and 5. Manning steps into it, pass drops. Shane Vereen. It'll be 4th down for the Giants, and we'll send you to Carissa Thompson with a game break.
Thanks, Joe. Chicago we go. Bears up 10-7 because of this. Matt Barkley finds Joshua Bellamy his first of the year. Green Bay 2 games back of the Lions in the North. Joe, Troy, and Aaron.
Well, the Lions today need a win for a lot of reasons, but if they win today and Green Bay loses at Chicago, the Lions win the division for the first time since 1993. That was blocked. It was Brandon Copeland who got in there, and it'll be great starting field position if this ball ever stops. It's like a magic trick. And Dave Schwabe, our spotter, smiled. It's always good when Schwabe smiles. Copeland with a block, spinning, and a good start on this drive for the Lions. Your favorite team all season long. Go to itunes.com/NFL. Rain's picked up, and so the weather is getting worse as we go. Windy, not crazy windy yet, but not great if you're Matthew Stafford with a dislocated tip of the middle finger on your throwing hand. First down. Stafford guns it, pass caught, and it's Ebron who's out of bounds. They're going to give him 9 yards. 2nd and 1, and back to the effort by Brandon Copeland as Casillas missed him.
Yeah, Jonathan Casillas, he just does not put a very good block on him, and Copeland's able to get there, and Brad Wing, as you see, and he's had a nice year punting the football. Last week, 9 punts. Sure, he had to ice that leg down after last week's game, but just not very good effort by Jonathan Casillas. Sets the Lions up perfectly here now in midfield.
Here's Zenner, gets another chance at it. Zach Zenner suffered a concussion last week. Cleared concussion protocol, then on his first carry going in, he fumbled the ball into the end zone, and the Giants recovered, turned that into 3 points. First down now. Stafford, protection, pass, incomplete as Golden Tate slipped with Eli Apple in coverage.
Well, watching Matthew Stafford throw the ball, even as you said, Joe, as the rain is coming down a little more heavy, he's made nice throws. I mean, he's throwing the ball accurately. The ball's coming out. It's got good spin on it. The finger does not seem to be an issue whatsoever. So he goes with the all-weather gloves, anticipating rain, and that's what they've gotten. And it seems like everything is going about as well as he could have hoped in terms of being able to throw the ball accurately.
2nd and 10. Stafford sets up a screen for Zenner. Casillas on his back. 3rd down coming up. There's time left on the clock. 1:12 and counting. 3 timeouts. And as the Lions trail by 7, remember, they get the ball to start the second half.
You see Stafford, when he rotates receivers and has them go across the formation, it does take time off of the clock when you start moving receivers from one side of the field to the other.
Stafford to the sideline. Pass is caught but out of bounds by Golden Tate. And now a decision for Jim Caldwell. Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie was in coverage. Do you try what would be a 58-yarder with the thunder leg of Matt Prater? Do you punt?
Well, he's going to
punt.
There was a chance. Yeah, I thought there was a chance at this point on the field that maybe they would go for it. Prater certainly has a big leg, and with all the timeouts that they had, you know, Stafford could have worked a lot of other areas of the field.
So Caldwell plays it conservatively. Here is Dwayne Harris making a play. Downfield waiting for it was Don Carey. And Dwayne Harris says, you can wait, but I'm going to drive you out of the play, and the ball ends up in the end zone.
Yeah, really good play on his part. And like I said last week, he was unblockable, and he really has been basically in this game as well. He gets down the field, and he was able to down some balls, you know, really down inside the 5-yard line that made it awfully difficult for the Cowboys. And what a pickup he has been for this Giants team.
Well, what a disappointment for the Lions. They only net 20 yards of field position. 2 timeouts for Eli Manning, 41 seconds. No field goal try, no 4th down attempt. Here's a carry by Vereen. And no sign of a timeout yet by the Giants. Coming up at the Visa halftime, Kurt, Terry, Howie, Michael, and Jimmy, with highlights and conversation about what's going on in Week 15. Vereen, first down. And the timeout is taken, but now only 16 seconds remain.
Well, I'm a little surprised they didn't call the timeout after that first down run. I understand the first down run, just wanting to see kind of what happens and whether or not you want to get into a no-huddle situation and get some points. After they had the big gain, I thought they'd call timeout, but like you said, now they're with just 16 seconds, it'll be challenging.
Started 12 of 13. Needs a chunky yardage here for any chance at a score before the half. Just outside their own 33. That's not going to do much. Will tie. And now only 10 seconds remain. Tie good for 6. Bush, who missed on a fumble recovery attempt earlier, there to force him out. third down with 5 seconds left. And the Giants will have to hope for a defensive penalty on this last play before the half.
Well, if they're able to make this connection, things get a little interesting here, and it puts them in a position to try to at least make an attempt on a field goal. Overall, you commented on it earlier, I could never throw a wet football. I've been impressed at how well these quarterbacks have handled the weather.
Third down and 4. Eli trying to air it out, and underneath it's Shepard. A stat patter, but nothing more than that. 13 yards for Shepard. That's the end of the half. 13 points scored. 10 of them belong to the Giants. Two teams at 9-4 battling in week 15. Kurt and the guys in the studio. Visa halftime. It starts right now. Hey, on Fox, the wind has really picked up. During halftime, it's like somebody flipped on a switch here in the Meadowlands, and we welcome you back, Joe Buck, along with a much taller person than Joe Buck, Troy Aikman, Hall of Famer. And for a guy, I have seen no issue with Matthew Stafford throwing the football, and with a break here or there, this could be a much different game.
Yeah, much different. I mean, the Lions had a lot of opportunities to maybe, have more points certainly than what they have right now. And the wind, though, as you talked about picking up, that becomes a factor more so than the rain for these quarterbacks and how effective they may or may not be here in this second half. How about this Giants defense? They hold the Lions to just 1 third-down conversion, and this was after holding the Cowboys to just 1 all night on Sunday night, and then, of course, hold them out of the end zone. They're playing lights out. 55-degree day, so it's not freezing like it is seemingly everywhere else, but it's raining, and the wind has really become much more intense. Short one. Roberts will let it go. Out of bounds, and he was wise to lay his leg on the boundary. That's a smart play. I thought that ball looked like it was headed out of bounds anyway. But as he lays his left leg on the boundary,
receiver was out of bounds when he touched the football.
The ball will be at the 40.
Therefore, it was a kickoff out of bounds. The ball will be placed at the 40-yard line. First down.
That's good coaching by special teams coach Joe Marciano.
Yes, it is. It's a great job by Andre Roberts. Those things don't happen without going over those types of things during the week in practice. So good job on Roberts' part. Outstanding work by this coaching staff, alerting these players to some of the rules and little nuances within the special teams.
Handoff is to Dwayne Washington, and he got hit hard by Landon Collins. Stats at the half. Rushing yardage belongs to the Giants. Passing yardage, about even. Total yards, not all that impressive. Time of possession, it's been a little better, and that's an area where the Giants have struggled all season. They've been in the bottom 3, and they're number 3 from the bottom in time of possession. That means their defense, their good defense, has been out on the field a lot through the first 13 games. Second and 6, play action. Stafford finds Washington, and the rookie running back is good for 2. Third down coming up. Goodson on the stop. Aaron, what'd you learn at the half?
Well, Ben McAdoo happy with his defense in the first half. What he's not happy about, cornerback Janoris Jenkins. He is done for the day, guys. Giants telling me he is getting further tests done on his ribs and his spine, Joe.
A big loss today, and going forward for however long it is, losing Janoris Jenkins. Now third down and 4.
Well, that brings Cody Sensabaugh, number 30. He now comes in and plays the slot nickel position that usually goes to Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie, who is now outside in the role where Janoris Jenkins would be.
On third down, Stafford spins on out of trouble. Vernon in his face. Pass is caught. Depends on the forward progress, and they're going to give him a first down. And Quan Bolden, a pro's pro, just keeps on rolling, and number 80 is good for 5 and a first down.
Yeah, and Matthew Stafford, the job that he does, using some of that mobility that I talked about earlier in this ball game. And Quan Bolden just fights through the coverage on Cody Sensabaugh and makes a play. But Eli Manning, Matthew Stafford for keeping that play alive and converting there on third down. Just their second one of the game.
First down, pass is no good. Ebron, and Stafford says that's on me. Tapping his helmet after letting that one go, and that's really the first really poor throw Stafford's made.
Well, I've been impressed not only with what he's been able to do today injured, but the year that he has had this season. And the interceptions are down. He came into this season averaging about 16 interceptions a year. Had 7 coming into the game. And I just think that Jim Bob Cooter, the offensive coordinator, really has done a good job of impressing upon Matthew to be efficient with his throws and not be quite the same gunslinger that we've seen from him earlier in his career.
Washington on the carry, and a good play is made. That's Bromley. Big guy in the middle, a gain of just 3, third down coming up. You mentioned Jim Bob Cooter. Matthew Stafford coming in and played 22 games with Jim Bob as his offensive coordinator. 48 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, and a quarterback rating of over 100. Those two have meshed quickly, and it's been a good pairing.
It's been a great pairing.
3rd and 7.
That's a big third down right here for the Lions. If they're able to convert here, they more than likely come away with points on this drive. But this Giants defense awfully tough on 3rd down.
This one floated for Jones. What a catch! What a catch, working around Eli Apple and Marvin Jones, the free agent from Cincinnati, with a beautiful grab for 21 yards.
No, and he's got Eli Apple, right on top of him. The ball's a little to the inside, and Marvin Jones, he just goes and gets it. He fights through the coverage and makes a play on the ball, and what an acquisition Marvin Jones was for this offense. You lose Calvin Johnson, you lose some big playability. Bob Quinn, the GM, he goes out. He's able to bring in Marvin Jones, who's made a lot of nice plays for this offense.
Back-to-back third down conversions for the Lions. The running game isn't working yet. Dwayne Washington, no gain. Landon Collins on the stop. And it's 2nd down. Let's go back to that 21-yarder.
Well, it's just a good job of going and making a play. And Stafford gives him a chance. But that's more catch than it is the throw. And they convert then on 3rd down. There's a good look of Jim Bob Cooter, and a young guy who's spent some time with Peyton Manning, and he's worked with some good quarterbacks, and he's working with a good one here in Detroit also.
Here's a little toss to Golden Tate. Broke 1 tackle and then sits down inside the 20. Olivier Vernon on the eventual stop. A gain of 7. 3rd and short coming up. Golden Tate, a little gimpy, walking back to this huddle. Here's Steve Spagnuolo. 18 straight possessions against his defense without allowing a touchdown. 3rd and 3. Pass is incomplete, but a flag. Collins covering Ebron. And the flag is for pass interference on Landon Collins.
Well, I think that was a good call. He had his arm around Ebron's neck. As Ebron's trying to come out of that route, it looked initially like Landon Collins was thinking maybe it should be offensive pass interference.
Number 21. The ball being placed in the spot of the foul, and an automatic first down.
So now a 3rd down conversion by penalty. And I think you could make the case, if you're the Giants, that Ebron really initiated that contact, but the call goes against Collins.
Well, he definitely was trying to get the push with the right hand. But what the official sees is the arm around the neck, and that was a good call.
Opportunity for the Lions, down 7. Little misdirection doesn't work. Pass is caught by Tate. Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie made the play, and a big loss on that first down play from the 12 of 5 yards.
Well, Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie has played a lot of football in this league, and he's an aggressive corner, and sometimes you try to take shots down the field on those types of guys. But for someone who was drafted in the 1st round by the Arizona Cardinals, a lot of times you don't see some of the physical play from those types of guys, but he has a willingness to get in there and make tackles, and he comes up nice on that last play.
10th play of the drive. Pass caught by Washington. Nearly broke the tackle of Andrew Adams. But the hit by the rookie was enough to bring down Washington a gain of 7.
Andrew Adams, he's one of those guys who stepped in there and has made some plays for this defense and a physical player. So on those two throws and completions, we've seen the Giants rally to the football and no run after the catch.
This is the top red zone defense in the NFL, taking on the 18th ranked offense inside the 20. 3rd and 8. Stafford down he goes eventually, and Olivier Vernon was there to clean it up. Damon Harrison was in on the play, and he's slow to get up, but Steve Spagnuolo's defense steps up again.
Well, this guy's not just a run stuffer. That's Damon Harrison. He gets the push in the middle, and that's what sets it up then for Olivier Vernon. Olivier Vernon then comes around and he's able to finish him off, but Damon Harrison, who there is the hand to the helmet. Typically you would see that called against the Giants, but great inside pressure by Snacks Harrison to stop that drive.
33-yard try, and Prater has now hit 19 straight. Longest active streak in the NFL, and it's a 4-point game in New Jersey.
Is sponsored by Southwest. Yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency.
Just up Route 17 north from the stadium. Bendix Diner opened in 1942. The offensive leaders for the Giants today for Eli Manning. Beckham 3 catches, 31 yards, has been held in check. Paul Perkins, the leading rusher for the Giants. The deal with Beckham, though, is you can hold him down, hold him down, hold him down, and then he breaks one, and good night.
You got to be on your game every single snap.
Well, this was the job that you always put your name on the list to do. In this case, we're going to have the ball held up in the air, and it's Asa Jackson. I know this was something you wanted to do in the NFL, but never got the chance.
Sure is. Yeah. I would take my finger off it.
Martin kicks it away. Asa Jackson, no worse for the wear. And Dwayne Harris on the return. Can't make the 25. 24-yard return. Copeland on the stop. Giants have it for the first time second half. Up 4. Wake up, David Thrower. With the Jets playing last night, special shout out to our technical crew who worked through the wee hours of the early morning to make sure that everything was working for our game. Ben Alltop in our booth. Never more alert and intense the ball game. Been here since 1:30 this morning. Here's Jennings. He can't get it going. Perkins has been a little more effective. Levy on the stop. A gain of 2. How about Aaron? What do you have?
Well, a lot of talk heading into this game about the matchup between Odell Beckham and Darius Slay. Darius Slay has not returned to the field after the half. We saw in the first half him go down with a hamstring injury, something, Joe, you mentioned has been bothering him for a bit. Still no change in that. And I know I look like I'm dressed for the Weather Channel, but I do want to tell you guys the temperature has dropped a little. I know people in Chicago could care less.
Here's Ty on the catch. 3rd down coming up. Kind of a Jim Cantori look you have on the sideline. Aaron, you wear it better as Tyre Whitehead makes the play. 3rd down and 4 coming up with under 7 to go in quarter number 3. And yeah, temperatures dropped, wind is up. For the moment, the rain has stopped.
Go east 35, east 35.
Extra men on the rush. Pass is caught. Depends on the spot. And it is right on it with Beckham. And if you believe the right foot of the line judge, that's a first down. If you believe the line as well, And they're going to give a first down on the catch by Beckham.
Eli sees the safety here, look like he's going to start to drop down. So what he anticipates then is that the Lions are going to blitz. And because he's able to block it up, he gets the completion and it picks up the first down.
Excellent Vereen on the carry. Shane Vereen over the right side gets 3.
Some of those things that you get when you have a veteran quarterback like Eli Manning, who sees the defense, anticipates what they may or may not do, and is able to change protections and block those things up. And that's the difference in keeping this drive going and punting the football.
Solid numbers for Manning. Some dinking and dunking, but a lot of completions, and this one is off the right hand of Jarrell Adams. Dangerous throw, and that ball was sitting there for a moment for anyone to grab.
Well, anytime you have 2 receivers in the same area, there's no spacing right here, there's something wrong, because he's trying to get the ball to Odell Beckham, and if Adams isn't there, it's a completion. Well, that's not how you design routes when you put 2 in the same spot.
3rd down and 7. Lions bring extra men. Manning steps into it and completes it for a first down to Sterling Shepard. And the Giants now hurry back up to the line. Good block by Shane Vereen to give Eli Manning time.
Good route by the rookie Sterling Shepard, and you're right, Shane Vereen is the one who really handles this and gives Eli Manning time to make that throw. Killebrew is on the blitz, and Vereen picks him up, and Eli Manning throws a perfect strike.
14-yard completion to Sterling Shepard. Player down on a knee. And it's Raphael Bush. Hit to the head. They check him. We'll come back.
Sponsored by Verizon. It's always a great gift on Verizon.
Show you a graphic on what this Lions defense has allowed. Highest in NFL history coming in against this Lions defense for the opposing quarterback's completion percentage. Manning is up at 85% with a quarterback rating of 114. Here's a little toss to Beckham. Room to run. And a nice tackle made by Glover Quinn. Gain of 9 could have been bigger.
It looked initially when he got the ball that it was going to be for a lot more. I think the Lions would be pleased that he just picks up about 10. Even on the exchange on the catch by Beckham, a little different the way in which he grabbed it, but it looked like he had a lot more space out in front of him, but Quinn was able to make a good tackle, as you said.
118.
Goes down as a 9-yard run, and the handoff is to Jennings for the first down. During the week, there were columnists and reporters who follow the Giants who were speculating that now in his 13th year and 199 games later, the wear and tear on Eli Manning was breaking him down, causing him to be ineffective over the previous 3 games. Looks good here today.
Well, he does look good, and hey, he's still got plenty of game left in him. He needs some help. He needs some blocking, and he's gotten more of that in this game, and more importantly, they've gotten this thing going, the running game.
Here's Jennings, a nice run. Lowers his shoulder at the end of it. Runs through Whitehead and picks up 5. Running behind Justin Pugh on that last, and well, they've actually run it one more time than they've thrown it. So you talk about balance from Ben McAdoo, and they're knocking on a 100-yard day on the ground. 4.1 yards per rush for the Giants. They come in averaging 3.4, 31st in the NFL. Why not? They stick with it. And the answer to why not is because the Lions were ready for it. It's Tyron Walker, the first one there, a loss of 3, and Eric Flowers gets into it. And I don't see any flags for all that pushing. It'll be 3rd down and 8. Let's watch Eric Flowers. They missed that. Whatever happened before that, Flowers with a right shove into the arm of Tyre Whitehead. 3rd and 8. Four-man rush. Manning, Cruz, incomplete. And coverage downfield by Batamosi. He's playing in place of the injured Darius Slay.
Yeah, Batamosi, he's one-on-one, and Cruz, I thought it was a pretty well-thrown ball with a chance. I mean, one-on-one, you give him a shot. Maybe if he leads him up the field, he's got a half a step on Batamosi, but Eli tries to throw the back shoulder, and Batamosi was just there to make a play. So, yeah, the Giants are able to move the football, but as we've seen, the Lions, they tend to tighten up, and points against them have been hard to come by for the last 7 weeks.
Wing down 5 inside the 20 last week. 2 of them inside the 5, and here's one down at the 4 by Roger Lewis. Lions have it down 4.
Sponsored by Samsung Pay. Turn your phone into your wallet.
Giants passed on a 55-yard field goal try, get a perfect 33-yard punt from Brad Wing. Roger Lewis was downfield to down it at the 4, so the Lions are backed up.
Yeah, those are kind of easy decisions for Ben McAdoo when you have a punter punting the ball that Wing is inside the 5-yard line, and then, of course, as great as his defense has played.
Here's center. Nothing. Hankins was the first guy through, and then Vernon is there to help on the tackle. They'll give him a gain of 1.
I mean, you think about how good this defense is, and this is where yardage is a bit misleading. By league rankings, this Giants defense would rank 14th because they base it on total yards allowed, whereas this defense is far better than that. Steve Spagnuolo has done a great job, and it illustrates that players are important. They've got better players this year. He's a better coordinator, but he's done a heck of a job with this defense all year long.
Low snap. Stafford corrals it. Center makes the catch. We'll see where they forced him out. 2 yards short of a first down. So 3rd and 2 coming up. Good job by Stafford on a low snap. He's got a rookie, Glasgow, up there, as Travis Swanson misses his 2nd straight start out with a concussion. In the battle for field position, this a big 3rd and 2. Pass to Ebron. Strong tackle and no first down. Landon Collins playing at an all-pro level.
This is a great job by Landon Collins, and you see where he is. He's deep in the secondary, and he has to then drive on that, and he arrives in time to keep Ebron from picking up the first down. It's an excellent job of route recognition by him, and then the speed that he has to get there and make that play. It's a great job by a guy who's having one great year.
Defensive player of the month for November in his 2nd year. Giants traded up to get him. It was a brilliant move. Harris on the return. Crosses the 45. They'll mark him down at the 48. 7-yard return. Giants have it. Tuck on the left, a tremendous player for the New York Giants. Left here after 2013 in JPP. Inactive for a 2nd straight game. Had surgery for a sports hernia. They hope to get him back as they make their way toward the playoffs. Best starting field position for either team. Giants start at their own 48, up by 4. And Eli Manning goes down. Ziggy Ansah has his first sack of the year, and that is how the 3rd quarter will come to a close.
Well, Eric Flowers, the left tackle. We've talked about the protection overall that Eli has had, but Ziggy Ansah, he gets his first sack right through the chest of Eric Flowers.
Into the 4th quarter we go, where the Lions love to play. Back after this from your local Fox station. Welcome back to MetLife Stadium. Lions and Giants here in Week 15, along with our producer Richie Zients, our director Rich Russo. Joe, Troy, and Pam with you as the Giants have it, beginning the fourth quarter back at their 40.
118,
Manning. Pass is dropped. Pass behind Paul Perkins. And a third down coming up, 3rd and 18. Back to that previous play in the sack.
You can see Odell Beckham, he really did not get the call. He's looking out, trying to get some help, and after that play ended, Eli visibly frustrated that the route wasn't run as to what he was expecting, and I've certainly been there and what Eli's feeling. He handled it better than I had most of the time, but a lot of frustration on his part.
Here's another pass that's a little bit high and out of the reach of Vereen. So when we come back, I say Richie Zients, make him happy, our producer. I say Rich Russo. Then I say Joe, Troy, and Pam. As if Aaron hasn't been with us for what, 9 years, 10 years, 15 years? Left her on the cold.
Yeah, but Aaron can handle that. It's always good to work Pam into the broadcast.
Yeah, Pam was our on-air mate for many years, and now there's Aaron. Hi, Aaron. She's like a sister to me. Got Aaron Andrews. 4th down and 18. Wing. Puts the nose of the football down. End over end line drive. Man, this guy's having a year. How about Brad Wing, special teams player of the week for last week? He and Roger Lewis hook up again. It's a 57-yard punt. Old number 9 from LSU having another day.
Game is sponsored by the all-new 2017 Ford Super Duty. This is the next level.
Small screen, stadium-sized content. Watch live local Sunday games on your smartphone with NFL Mobile. Last drive started at their own 4. This one even worse. Starting at the 3 with Dwayne Washington in the backfield with Stafford. Pass is low but caught by Marvin Jones. And that gives the Lions a little bit of breathing room out near the 9, a gain of 7.
Steve Spagnuolo, the defensive coordinator, he ought to buy Brad Wing a nice Christmas gift for the job that he's done punting these balls inside the 5-yard line. That sure helps out a defense when an offense has to go that distance. You're limited in what you're willing to call. Nice job on 1st down, giving yourself a little bit of breathing room, but you still got to be careful. Down here's a quarterback.
Handoff is to Washington, ran into a wall, got 1. How about this? Coming into this game, both teams tied for the most wins in games decided by 7 points or fewer. 8 wins each. And you know the story with the Lions, an NFL record 8 come from behind victories in the 4th quarter, and they're coming off one at home over Chicago, and Jim Caldwell has his team down by 4.
You've done it as many times as the Lions have this year. You never feel like you're out of it, and they certainly aren't, just down 4. But even though they're backed up here on 3rd down, Matthew Stafford has to be smart with the football.
3rd down and 2. Pass is high and caught. Good throw. Strong catch by Anquan Boldin. And a big 1st down for Detroit.
That's a good guy to go to in that situation. Backed up 3rd down. You want a reliable inside receiver, and that ball had some heat on it. And Anquan Boldin is just able to make a heck of a catch. All hands right there. And keep this drive going. So they get off the goal line now. And now Jim Bob Cooter has all of his plays at his disposal.
200th NFL game played for Anquan Boldin, who is number 10 all time on the receptions list in the history of the league. Stafford takes off and will make it out to the 23-yard line, a gain of 4, where Kennard makes the tackle. You can say a lot of things about Matthew Stafford. He's talented, he's got a great arm, he's a leader, and he is tough. He proved that when he was a rookie. It seems like every year there's something that happens to him where he proves his toughness. And he's playing with that bad finger and looks fine.
Well, the only thing keeping him from being mentioned as one of the game's best is he's got to get to January. He's got to win playoff games, and that's how you get measured. And to make that happen, this is an important ball game for this Detroit team.
Washington left side gets a block on the edge, but not much. Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie there to force him out. So another third down coming up.
You look at this Giants defense, and you're without your best corner in Janoris Jenkins, and yet they're able to hold up, much like the Lions have been able to without their best corner in Darius Slay. But they've got some depth at that cornerback position, and when you're able to just slide Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie to the outside, that's a nice luxury that Steve Spagnuolo has.
Third down and 5. Stafford protected, pass caught, first down, Tate. And so 2 huge third down conversions, one to Bolden, this one to Golden Tate for 15 yards.
And this ball here, I mean, you've got to be able to obviously put it where you want, and Stafford's able to do that. So we've seen it throughout the game. The finger has not been an issue with him. Whatever he went through this week in order to find the right glove and how he wanted to handle it, it's worked for him, and he's been accurate with the football.
As opposed to last week when the injury happened and he clapped hands with Leonard Floyd. It was a makeshift deal trying to get his hand ready to just throw a ball, and he ended up with 2 fourth-quarter interceptions. Handoff here to Washington up to the 40. Gain of 2. Here's Carissa with a game break.
Thanks, Joe. Get you an update here on the NFC North. Packers up 13-10, 5 minutes to go in the third, and Ty Montgomery, 3-yard touchdown, his second of the day. They're up 20-10. Joe, Troy, and Aaron.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for getting that right. Gain of 2 here for Washington as you look at the NFC North, and while we showed you the highlight with Chicago and Green Bay, Minnesota is getting thumped at home. I think anybody saw that coming from the Colts or from the Vikings. 2nd and 8. Pressure, pass, broken up. Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie with Tate, the target. And there was pressure in the face of Matthew Stafford, 3rd and 8.
But there might have been some contact when the ball arrived, and no, I thought it was a pretty good play there by Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie. And like I said, such a veteran guy and an aggressive player, and I tell you, he doesn't lack confidence, and he's able to do some things. He's so fast that sometimes he'll bait you on some of the deep throws too.
Lions 4 for 6 on 3rd down this half. 3rd and 8. Blitz off the edge, pass to Tate for nothing, and Apple is there for the stop. 4th down for the Lions, and they'll have to punt.
Well, Steve Spagnuolo continuing to give different looks to Matthew Stafford. You saw it, Joe. They brought Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie off of Stafford's left side. They get the ball out quick. As you see, here comes Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie. Ball comes out. They got a free rusher. Stafford has to get it out. This was a good possession, though, however, for the Lions. They flipped field position when it started on the 3-yard line.
Beckham waiting for the punt. It's a line drive from inside the 25. And good speed shown by the linebacker Antoine Williams. He forces Beckham out after a 5-yard return. Here comes Eli up 4. You look at the NFC playoff picture, there is so much hanging in the balance just with this game alone. The Giants still have a shot at the division and at the #1 overall seed, while the Lions are trying to hold off the team on the far right, the Packers, who look like they're going to end up at 8-6. The Lions, if they don't come back and win this game, go to 9-5. The Packers already beat the Lions, and they meet in Week 17 in Detroit, which could be for the division. It'll be an exciting finish to this regular season.
Could you imagine a 2-game lead as we sit today and then playing Week 17 for the title?
It's hard to believe. Here's Perkins right side. A good start to the drive. He gets 10. Depends on the spot. So in the NFC North, you've got the Lions. Now they're at Dallas next week on Monday night, then at home against Green Bay. Minnesota just laying an egg today at home against Indy. They're at Green Bay, at home against Chicago, but the red-hot Packers trying to win their 4th straight. They have Minnesota next week on Christmas Eve here on Fox, then at Detroit. It is is a fight to the finish in the North.
Well, we saw Green Bay last week, and it's a team that has a different vibe than I've felt from them in a year and a half. I feel like they're starting to get hot at the right time.
And Aaron Rodgers trying to play. First it was a bad left hamstring. Now it's a bad right calf. But he is so talented that even when he doesn't have that big part of his game, his legs, he can stand in the pocket, get rid of it in a blink, flip it downfield, and man, they're hard to beat when they're rolling like that. And their defense has played a lot better too. Adrian Peterson's return this week after his September meniscus injury in his knee, only has 22 yards rushing for the Vikings, so that was not a big lift. Manning, ball's batted down. Stops the clock with 8:16 remaining, 2nd and 10. Giants by 4.
You just look at this game, Joe, and for the Lions defensively, who they've done a nice job, and they've given up 10 points, and like I said, they've been hard to score points against them for the last 7 weeks. They haven't given up more than 20 points during that stretch, but based on what's happened offensively, they can't afford to give up a touchdown and make this a 2-possession game.
Manning, Shepard, ball's out, incomplete. 3rd down and 10 coming up. Here's Kurt Menefee.
The Green Bay Packers may have found a running game. Christine Michael, who started the year with Seattle, takes his 42 yards, longest run of his career, for a touchdown. Also, Ty Montgomery has 157 yards rushing. Green Bay 217 yards on the ground and a 27-10 lead as they head to the 4th quarter in Chicago. Joe, Troy, and Aaron.
Man, if they can find a running game like that, especially with Aaron Rodgers, gimpy with a bad calf, that's something. Now 3rd down and 10. Manning, Beckham, what a throw! What a catch! And a big first down for the Giants. Covered by Jackson. And a completion of 25.
Best throw of the day by Eli Manning. You've got Odell Beckham's going to the corner. They're doubling up on Odell Beckham. They got the safety trying to give some help, but once he goes to the corner, the safety's no longer a factor. And it wasn't just terrible coverage, but he lays it in there beautifully to Beckham. And a nice gain and a first down, Giants.
Well, that is a huge play in this game. 25 yards on 3rd and 10. Quick throw to Shepard, who has a touchdown in this game. Down the sideline and forced out with another first down. Glover Quinn couldn't bring him down. And Sterling Shepard, the rookie. Here's Quinn's chance, and he went right by him. Shepard gets 23.
Yeah, and Odell Beckham, who makes the big catch there on the previous play, he's out there lending some support to Sterling Shepard and blocking on the edge, which helps him get that much more yardage.
First down at the 13. Perkins driving inside the 10 to the 8.
You said it a little bit earlier, Joe, between these two backs, Rashad Jennings, he's the guy who's gotten a bulk of the work throughout the season, but when they've given the ball to Paul Perkins, he just has the ability to make some things happen. Here in this ball game, he's averaging over 5 yards a carry. And you see what the Giants have done today compared to where they were coming into this game, and it's made a huge difference in what Ben McAdoo's been able to do as a play caller.
No surprise with Justin Pugh, their good left guard back. Here's Perkins again. A yard short of a first down. The Giants' touchdown came on their opening possession. And now with under 6.5 to go in the game, they're set up with 3rd down and 1, and the oversized play call sheet for Ben McAdoo. What does he dial up?
Well, I think this is the play of the game right here for the Detroit Lions. They make a stop here, they force a field goal, and they keep it a 7-point game, 1-possession game. Teams are 16 of 20 on 3rd and 1 against the Detroit Lions.
Manning starts in the shotgun. And has has to use the timeout with the play clock at 1. Well, the baddest woman on the planet is back. It's the long-awaited return of Ronda Rousey. It begins on FS1 Friday, December 30th, UFC 207 prelims. And the year with a bang is former world champion Johnny Hendricks battles Neil Magny. Starts at 7 Eastern on FS1, or watch it all live on Fox Sports Go. And what'll it be from Eli Manning and Ben McAdoo on 3rd and 1?
Well, it's not the way we used to do it back when I was playing. You saw 3rd and 1. Eli was in shotgun. 3rd and 1 when I was playing. You know what we did? Turned and handed to Emmett.
Yep, that worked.
It did work.
Well, there is no Emmett here with the Giants, but there is Paul Perkins back there with Manning. Play clock at 2. Passes. What a catch, Beckham! He's done it again! Wow! Touchdown Giants!
Another one on the highlight reel.
I was just going to say, wow.
This ball was way out in front of Odell Beckham. Really, the only chance he had was to one-arm it, and he's able to make that catch look routine. That's a heck of a job by him. Finishing off this drive for 7 points. 6 points, 7 if they make this extra point, but just an outstanding job by this offense.
Under 6 to go. 17-6. The Lions just got Beckham on 3rd down to make it a 2-score game.
Today's game is sponsored by the new film Sing, in theaters this Wednesday.
White Manna diner located in Hackensack, New Jersey, opened in 1946. The comebacks, the fourth quarter comebacks since 1925. Matthew Stafford has the most with 8. But this is a tough hill to climb. Not only down by 11, but against a terrific Giants defense. And Kerry Wynn makes that play. And Odell Beckham adds another one to the highlight reel. Left hand out, secures the catch into the end zone on 3rd and 1. Eli loving every second of it. 3rd straight drive starting inside their own 20. The previous 2 started inside their own 5. For the Lions, this one from the 19. Stafford downfield. Off the hands of Marvin Jones.
Had a chance too. Had a chance, but you see Marvin Jones, he gets a good release and then he starts trying to work towards the outside, and really a perfectly thrown ball. And this is what I was talking about earlier. DRC's got such good speed that he's able to get on him just enough. The ball's just off his hands. And the Lions, as you talked about a minute ago, Joe, they've had some improbable wins in this season. But to do that, they've got to get some big chunk plays. And this is a Giants defense that, as good as they've been, they have had a tendency to give up big plays in the passing game.
2nd and 10. Stafford gets rid of it, gets a big hit. Devon Kennard. Stafford pops right back up. It's 3rd and 10.
Yeah, that shows you some of the toughness of Matthew Stafford, because when he wheels back around to his left, you're going to see he knows that he's about to get hit. As soon as he peels back right there, he knows he's going to take one, and he's got to get it out and try to give himself an opportunity, but he hung in the pocket as long as he could.
Now 3rd down and 10. Just got it away. Blitz. Stafford stays upright. Had a man, Ebron, but he missed him. as Stafford had a player draped all over him.
Well, he never saw Cody Sensabaugh, who came off the edge, and he was able to hide in behind that defensive line, and by the time Stafford saw him, it was too late. Here he is right here coming off the edge. Stafford was fortunate just to be able to duck him and was not able to get anything on it to get the ball to Ebron.
And was not able to get away from Jonathan Casillas either. 4th down and 10, so a punt, 3 and out. Need to talk about Steve Spagnuolo when we get the chance. Here's Beckham. Flag on the play. 2 of them. Beckham still going. Unbelievable. Odell Beckham inside Detroit territory. He's gone. There's a flag on the play as Beckham styles to the end zone.
I think Beckham was about to run up the tunnel. Somebody in the stands, I think, alerted him that there was a flag.
So all that's coming back.
During the return of the kick, illegal block in the back, receiving team number 37, 10-yard penalty and a 1st down.
It's free agent Eric Pinkins. Guilty of that on Zach Zenner. It takes points off the board, takes the touchdown away from Beckham. Giants have it up 11. Giants have it. First time that their offensive line has been intact since November 6th. And Justin Pugh went down with a knee injury, and it's shown. They've been able to run it a little better, protect Eli Manning better. Here's Jennings back to the line of scrimmage. And Odell Beckham Jr. has his 10th touchdown catch of the season. And he has done here officially today what no Giants receiver has been able to do before him, and that is have 3 consecutive seasons with 10 or more touchdown catches in the season. What a burst it's been in the NFL, the first rounder from LSU. And now we welcome you inside our broadcast booth. I'm Joe Buck, that's Troy Aikman, and this has been an impressive day for the New York Giants here in a game where they're about to go to 10-4.
Yeah, against a good opponent. You know, both these teams are looking for a win, and I think it is one of the more complete games that we've seen from the Giants in quite some time. The defense has been good, as you expect, but Eli Manning has been very good, and then they've gotten the running game going better than we've seen in a lot of weeks.
There's Jennings over the right side. Timeout taken, the second taken by the Lions. They're down to 1. So Justin Pugh comes back, and we show you the big guys up front. And after coming in 31st in the NFL, averaging under 3.5 yards per rush, they're at 4 yards per rush behind Flowers, Pugh, Richburg, Jerry, and Bobby Hart.
Well, it's good to give them a pat on the back. I mean, they've been hearing about their performance every week. It's been a struggle, but there's no doubt that they are happy to have Justin Pugh back at left guard.
Offensive line coach Mike Solari is to be proud of his guys and happy to get Pugh back. Marshall Newhouse made the start at left guard last week, but that, as you said, Troy, has been a revolving door.
The Giants have been good here on 3rd down throughout this day. They're well over 50%. This is a big down right now for the Lions.
They run it with Jennings to keep the clock moving and force a timeout, the final one for Detroit. But the Lions do get a 3-and-out defensively. Fox NFL kickoff next week at 11 Eastern, then Fox NFL Sunday in our pregame show. And then America's Game of the Week is early next week at Lambeau Field with the Minnesota Vikings and the Green Bay Packers. That'll be on Saturday, on Christmas Eve. Falcons and Panthers, Redskins and Bears, and then the later games, the Seahawks. Congratulations to them with their win on Thursday. They win the NFC West for the 3rd time over the last 4 seasons. No timeout was taken. They let the clock go, so the Lions have 1 left. And here's Roberts looking for a big return. Doesn't get it. Out of bounds at the 25. So Matthew Stafford was a high school football star in the Dallas area. And here he is at Highland Park High. a 5A state champion the last time they did it. And now, how about John Stephen Jones, who is the grandson of that man on the right, Jerry Jones, son of Stephen Jones, and he's a winner down at Highland Park High.
Quite a legacy of quarterback play when you're following in the footsteps of Matthew Stafford and John Stephen, who I've been following since he was probably in 7th grade. Congratulations to him and the Highland Park Scots state championship.
They beat Temple 16-7 on Saturday, and the ball is batted down, and the play is made by Odigizua. Meanwhile, that game was played in front of 35,089 people at AT&T Stadium, and John Stephen Jones had 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, how about that? You're John Stephen Jones, and you're playing in the stadium that your grandfather built. I don't know that there's, and you win the state championship. I don't know if there's many quarterbacks that can stake claim to that.
Looking for their first touchdown. They've not been shut out in that category this season. Down by 11, 3:45, and 1 timeout in their pocket. Pass is caught by Tate, first down. Tripped up by Dominique Rogers-Cromartie. So this defense for the Giants playing without its 2 most dynamic players. Jason Pierre-Paul out with the hernia surgery, and Janoris Jenkins lost early in this game. Here's one for Tate. Had to wait on it. Makes the catch. Gets popped by Landon Collins. But a first down inside the 40.
That's a good job of Matthew Stafford. He knows he's got to start driving some balls down the field. And Landon Collins puts a hit on Tate, but he makes the play. And they're going to need some more of him here.
Stafford so good in the hurry up. Pass is caught. That's center out of the backfield. With 2:55 and counting. Landon Collins on the stop, a gain of 8.
They're one-on-one at the top up here.
That one's batted but caught. That pass was tipped at the line but caught by Marvin Jones. And it's a first down inside the 20 to the 17-yard line. End zone, Jones, no flag. Eli Apple on the coverage, incomplete. Let's see, this ball came out weird. See if somebody got a hand on it, and they did. That was Kennard, but it was still complete to Marvin Jones.
Well, if they're able to get this ball into the end zone with there's still over 2 minutes to play, they've got a timeout. They definitely put the pressure, back on the Giants. It's about trying to get this into the end zone just as quickly as they can. Otherwise, the more time that goes off, they won't have any choice.
Second and 10. Stafford slides, throws, end zone incomplete. Now 3rd down and 10 with 2:09 left. Injuries to 2 key cornerbacks, 1 on each side. Darius Slay for the Lions. And Janoris Jenkins playing at a Pro Bowl level for the Giants, out with a spine injury. 3rd down and 10. A field goal is an option to make it an 8-point game.
I would think that's what they do if they don't pick it up here.
End zone. Pass is picked off. Dominique Rogers-Cromartie. And he will wisely celebrate in the end zone and take it out of play. And this defense is playing great football. Interception number 3 on the year for Dominique Rogers-Cromartie, trying to get it to Bolden. And the Giants are going to go to 10-4.
Is sponsored by Papa John's, the official pizza sponsor of the NFL.
Well, that Green Bay and Chicago game is tightened up. And if we get the chance, we'll give you bonus coverage coming up. We should get the chance. Over 7.5 minutes to go in that game, and it's a 3-point game. Kevin Burkhardt, John Lynch, Pam Oliver is doing that game at a cold Soldier Field. Here's a handoff to Jennings. taken here by Detroit. The Giants are in terrific playoff position. They clinch a playoff berth with a win and losses by Washington, Minnesota, and Green Bay. The schedule's not that easy coming up. They have a Thursday game at Philadelphia, then a game at Washington to end the season. But they are a minute 54 away from a 10-4 record. They've gotten just enough offensively and had airtight defense. The Lions today 3 red zone trips, 1 field goal, and 2 turnovers against the best red zone defense in the NFL. As Jennings stood up. Levy on the stop, and here's Carissa with a game break.
Thanks, Joe. Lions fans rooting for this one. Bears down 10. Matt Barkley hands off to Jordan Howard for this 9-yard run. Green Bay is up only 27-24 with just over 7 left to play. Joe?
Wow, so that game is tightened up. Frigid temperature, and yeah, no doubt, the Lions and their fans watching that one closely. 3rd down and 8 here. The clock running. And no reason to throw it. Here's Jennings. Levy on the stop. Victor Cruz may very well be playing his final home game as a Giant. Madison, New Jersey native, and today 1 catch, 29 yards. But a guy who was a Pro Bowler back in 2012. His last touchdown here was September 21st of 2014. He's gone from the slot to the outside. Sterling Shepard's taken over that slot position. But for Victor Cruz, undrafted out of UMass, what a career it has been, if it is indeed over at the end of this year with the Giants.
He's a beloved guy here in New York, and rightfully so. I remember when he burst onto the scene, all Giants fans do, and he was such a breath of fresh air. One of the most likable guys, really in the history of our game, certainly in the game today, and has overcome so much. And we did get a chance to see him do the salsa, out there earlier in the game. It didn't end up counting, but just really a terrific guy, and whatever he ends up doing, I hope he's back here playing for the Giants. Hope he continues to play, but he's been really refreshing and a great guy to cover all these years.
Just turned 30. Finally healthy. He's had 2 years that he's been bothered by injury. So we'll see what the future holds for Victor Cruz, but there is something to be said for Steve Spagnuolo before we say goodbye. 25 seconds left, 4th down and 8. Wing has had another big day. Lions can't get there. Good punt. Driving Roberts back. And Roberts out of bounds. Steve Spagnuolo was the celebrated defensive coordinator for the Super Bowl 42 champion New York Giants. Now he had Tuck, and he had Umanura, and he had the great Michael Strahan rushing the quarterback, and in that game rushing Tom Brady. But then he leaves the Giants and he goes to St. Louis, head coach of the Rams. That didn't go well. Then a year as coordinator with the Saints. That didn't go well. Then a defensive assistant for 2 years with the Ravens. Last year had the last ranked defense in the NFL, but an upgrade in talent, and he knows what to do with talent, and they are a force in 2016.
Well, it kind of feels like that Super Bowl championship defense that we saw that carried them on to the championship, and this defense reminds me a lot of that group.
Stafford throws it away with 5 seconds left, and a flag is down as Kerry Wynn shoves Matthew Stafford at the end of the play.
Personal foul, roughing the passer, unnecessary roughness, defense number 72, throwing a forearm in the upper body unnecessarily. 15-yard penalty and an automatic 1st down.
And just one last note about Spagnuolo. Of all the coaches we get a chance to talk to around the NFL, there isn't a finer gentleman than Steve Spagnuolo in the game, and he really knows what to do. And again, playing the majority of this game without Jenkins and obviously JPP. They've had to adjust. And they're good.
Well, it's one thing for management to go spend a lot of money, and then they've got to get coached up, and you've got to have a guy who can put them in the right positions and utilize the players you've got. He's been outstanding and a very well-coached defensive unit.
Here's center out of the backfield. Play clock at zeros. Game clock at zeros. This one is over, and the Giants have won their 10th game, as they are making a play for their first playoff appearance since the 2011 championship season, and Eli Manning and Ben McAdoo can celebrate a victory at home over the Lions. We'll take a break, come back, and wrap up then bonus coverage of the Bears and the Packers as we continue the NFL on Fox.